I'm Baratunde Thurston, and welcome to this special edition of Clarify. Mike and Spotify have teamed up to break down policy issues. With the election weeks away, we're helping you make sense of everything from immigration reform to gun control. And we're joined by policy experts and some of your favorite musicians. We chatted with Diplo about the student debt crisis, Vic Mensa and I talked about policing in Chicago, and Prophets of Rage shared its thoughts on economic inequality. In this episode, we'll give you a sneak peek of what's to come. But first, some never-before-seen footage. That's right, exclusives. Throughout the series, I asked the musicians we interviewed the single most important piece of advice they'd give a fan voting for the first time.
Educate yourself on your local offices.
It's very important for local politics. I think more than it is for presidential politics.
Think global, act local.
My first piece of advice would be educate yourself. Do your research and do something that I didn't do. Educate yourself on your local offices, because that's where you're gonna get the most bang for your buck in terms of voting, and you're gonna be able to really impact your community and the people that you live near and live with the most is by voting for your local offices.
For me, it sucked. I'm a resident in Nevada, and I was never there, but I actually did a mail-in ballot, and that was the first election that's the one that Hillary won, and that was kind of like a point where I was like, okay, this isn't gonna work. You know, it sucks, but I really wish I could have been there and campaign in that state where I'm a resident. But it's very important, and it's very important for local politics. I think more than it is for presidential politics. Because if you change things locally, it affects you immediately. It's those little building blocks are the ones that build the big blocks. So if you build a very good infrastructure locally, it'll change everything. It might take a little longer, but that's the actual change that we need, you know?
Think global, act local. Voting is not so much for the big fan World Series of the presidential selection, but it's like, who's that judge that runs, alone, when it comes down, it's like, wow, in this county, the same judge runs with no competition. So people just automatically press buttons. Oh, how about the school board? Voting is about knowing, how to attach yourself to have a voice in your reality. And you got to fight for that voice. You got to understand your surroundings. So thinking globally, but acting locally, I think is a good place to start.
I would tell that voter, him, I vote, and I'm going to continue to vote until President Trump takes the vote away from black people again. But I vote with my eyes open and realize that both parties don't represent me, they represent the ruling class. They represent a system that both domestically and internationally is absolutely corrupt and is horrible for the people of the planet. The people who own and run this country don't deserve to. And if you want to vote for one of them rather than the other, because one's more likely to press the nuclear button and the other one's just going to continue sort of business as usual, kissing Wall Street's ass, that's a choice. But on November, the day after the election, someone's going to be elected, and you start fighting them and their policies on that day. Until we get the kind of world that we really want to live in, that's just and humane.
Anybody else? Advice for the young people?
I vote with two fingers right here on my instrument. This one for this string, and this one.
The donkey and the elephant.
No, you did not just. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Tim.
Yeah.
We got that right.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
What issues are you most concerned with in this election?
Drone strikes, airstrikes. It's a complete humanitarian travesty and tragedy. It's terrible. You look at the numbers for drone strikes since 2013 or 14, or up to 2014. I was reading an article the other day where there was like 41 targeted killings, and those 41 killings killed over 1,200 people. And, these are women and children being murdered illegally, assassinated, because Jimmy Carter had an executive order that said that no person employed by the United States government is to commit assassination. Like, this is illegal in America, and that's not sending an unmanned drone into a rural town and blowing up a little girl's house because you think there's a terrorist inside. That's not within the realm of war, you know, that it's really assassination. And that's probably paramount to me past the things we're talking about, or really right up there with it, because yeah, I mean, that just makes my blood boil.
It don't make no damn sense to have more than 1 million empty homes and people not being able to be sheltered. That doesn't make any sense at damn all. And it doesn't make sense for the surplus of food that's being wasted on this planet not going to the bellies that need it. I still don't get it to this day.
I think, especially with policing, and I think with our justice system, there's so much, you know, there's so much useless stuff happening that the police are having to do and work for, like even drugs. Like we've already, I think we can all unanimously decide that the drug war we lost it, right? But we're still spending so much time and energy chasing, you know, drug users and people that are, you know, drug addicts, where police could be doing real jobs, you know, instead of, I got pulled over the other day I was driving home. I never drive in LA, and this is one reason why. I pulled over, I was with my friend Ariel Rexshot, another producer, and we're just like, let's listen to music. So we pulled over at a gas station. Cops pulled us over, went through my car, searched everything. Like I didn't have my registration, it was like a month late. They're like, we're gonna tow your car right now. And I'm like, guys, I'm flying in like 3 hours. Why am I, what's the point of this pullover? They have nothing to do.
Yeah.
You know, and I wish that, and also I'm a white guy, so I was lucky. Like I'm lucky that I got away. I didn't have to.
Did you tell them that you were white?
I'm like, white, guys.
There's a lot of problems. One of them's fact-free freedom. You know, like the idea that people that facts don't matter. You know, and it underlines a lot of other issues. And I don't think you don't have to have, you know, a degree in order to make moral choice, ethical choices about what's right and wrong. You know, about
most people in history didn't have that.
Military incursion here or there. That's something. But this sort of this dumbing down of the national discourse it makes people very susceptible to demagoguery, as we've seen in this election season. Yeah.
Out of this political climate that we're in now, where do you see us going? Where do you want to see us going?
I see us going forward with Hillary Clinton as president. I see things getting more and more violent. I see more police killing unarmed black men on video, and I see more cops dying. And until we start to get some laws in place, which I would hope will come from all of this turmoil. I know it's going this way until there's legislation. If there isn't legislation, it's just gonna be Sunday, Bloody Sunday every weekend.
I don't believe in governments at all. I believe in culture. Culture brings us human beings together. Yes, governments are necessary, but not necessarily I don't believe in it. We only get the chance as human beings to play around with 100 years if we're lucky, and really we're playing around with 60 years. So we have to sort of like look to the future in a utopian type of way, try to instill some things in our children, because we know that they're gonna, or our children or those younger than us, to take it forward.
Well, I see right now we're in a cycle that doesn't seem to be getting fixed anytime soon. Like, you know, it's almost like you has a vibe of Afghanistan or Iraq, where you just have like, it's a cycle between factions, and once one thing happens this way, the other one it's reciprocal, you know. And it's like, I see this happening in America, where no one's sitting down and discussing what the real issues are. Like, what's causing the problems? And it's just kind of like, this makes me mad, that makes me mad, but why does it make you mad? And how do we get to this place? You know,
yeah.
I don't think people have a real sense of history and a sense of like the steps that it takes to become in a place like this. So once you backtrack, you can figure out, this is a problem, can we fix it? But right now it's just like anger between every party, and nothing's gonna get fixed unless somebody takes a breath and, you know, steps back and discusses what the critical issues are, how they started, you know, to fix them. But that's a pretty basic answer. But,
yeah, that's fine.
But I think that's
Basic's
probably
good.
better for me to answer that way.
Okay. We'll have new episodes of Clarify out next week, but for now, take a sneak peek at my interview with Talib Kweli, the Brooklyn rapper. We sat down to talk about gun violence.
I'm anti-violent and I'm anti-gun.
Yeah.
I don't own a gun. I don't live a life that requires me to have a gun. But I can't say that that's for everybody. I can't speak on everybody's situation. So while I am a proponent of not having guns, I think that there's a bottom line or a reality that we can all agree on about the safety precautions, about what it requires, the licensing, and in order to drink or smoke a cigarette, there's certain things you can't do, but you can be underage and get a gun. It's very easy to get one. I don't foresee us eliminating guns from American culture. American culture is built on the gun.
We've got more artists lined up and more issues to break down, so be sure to check out new episodes every Tuesday. I'm Baratunde Thurston. Thanks for watching.